Okay, good stuff. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to give you a front to back run through of some basic data that we've set up to sort of try and model, you know, what a cleaning solution might look like. Bit of data that you've given us, you know, it's obviously not complete, but the idea is just to give you a feel. So we'll sort of come back here, but obviously the idea with, as with everything with Connect, is that you sort of end up driving through to dashboards. I wasn't quite sure what you want in your dashboards, but things like, so, you know, you can come in here if there's any missed cleans. So we've got a missed clean on this meeting room at the moment, then, you know, and I could then drop down into that meeting room and look at the detail of it and see when it had last been cleaned, and any details associated with that. And I wasn't sure whether you'd want to go down to a much lower level of detail. So this would actually take you down to individual, you know, we've missed doing the desks in one of the office areas, or we've missed doing a hoover or a carpet or something in an area. So this is kind of just space wise, and this is individuals. And then over here, I was just trying to start modeling out something that would sort of track hours, you know, cleaning hours delivered versus a budget, or versus expected hours for that day or week or month or whatever. And you could ultimately get that as a time trend. But I'm really just trying to model out where we are with that. So what we've got is we've got a property, the sample database that you gave us here, which is Chai Travail. And if I come down within here, we've only modeled out one of the floors at the moment, but we've modeled out the ground floor. So within here, we've then got all the different rooms with their identifiers, and the different areas that we've got. And then within each of these areas, oops, did that the wrong way around. Let's try that again. Within each of those areas, so if we take one of them, I'll go this time, take one of the WCs. So within each of those areas, we've then got the elements that need cleaning within that area. So obviously, if we get in a project, we'd be having a discussion about what level do you want the people on the ground to be recording at, because you've got a trade-off between do you want to have recording level piece by piece, or which then means that we can monitor it and track, or do we think that's too onerous and we'll record a level up. So the way that works is we've got these different elements here, and then against each one of these, we would then have a cyclical program. So we would sort of say we might have, oops. So we might have the weekly clean, and it might be that we do, in this case, it might be that we do the weekly clean in this. So obviously this would be where we'd start to try and load balance these out and schedule it. So we might do the weekly clean on that WC every Thursday, and we'd create the order the Wednesday night. And then when we do that, I haven't actually set up enough of these, but we'd have a specific template that said how we were going to do that. And then we could have different rules on here. So then we would have, you know, we'd have the daily clean. We would do that. We'd do this each other day. So you sort of get the idea here. So that what's nice about Connect is that you can sort of create a program of work against each individual element. You don't obviously have to sit and type these up. By the way, we can load this all in from a spreadsheet. But so you end up with a program of work day by day, and it can be, and you can be doing different things. So it can basically give you that specific instruction of what you're doing day by day. So that's how that would work. And we'd ultimately end up setting that up for each of these elements within here that we're going to go clean against. So we'd end up with a program of work, and then the system would just automatically generate the jobs, automatically allocate them to the people based on skills and areas and where they worked and things. They would then get those jobs on their mobile device. So what that looks like, if I just get my mobile device on the screen. So I've just sort of tried to create a bit of an example over here. So obviously at the moment, I haven't tried to get into the scheduling. So, you know, how you'd schedule and how it would work through the days, I'm not sure, but you can see on here that you've basically got the various different elements that you need to clean, and you can see that you've got the time. So these are Friday, some of it, you know, it's a 6:15 to 7 there, 4:30 to 5. So you've got all the specific times that you need to get in and do these things. And then the idea is that, so if we're going to the top one, which is the female WC, so the idea is if I touch on that, I then just follow through the steps that you've set up. You don't have to have all these steps. Some of these steps are optional, so this is completely up to you what you're doing. So I'm basically going to start clean. So that is a clock on. So that is basically recorded my timestamp of when I started that clean. As we've discussed, we could turn this into a scan. So there could be a scan of a QR code or something that indicated, to confirm that you've entered the area. A even simpler way of doing that is just to have a, oops. So a simpler way of doing that is just to have take a photo of the area before you do it. My phone. Then you can annotate. You can annotate any of them, and those stay annotated in the system. So I've taken the photo. I've got a step on here which is to review the kind of operating. I think there's a bit more work. I've done this quickly, so there's a bit more work. We could make that look much nicer. But this is just kind of for the area that you're in. This is the work instructions. Anything you wanted to pull out there. I've created a couple of items on here that are completely optional. So kind of the idea of and obviously you could call this whatever you wanted, but I've called it eyes and ears. So, report repair items. And this is really simple. The idea is just that if you identify anything, you could just take a photo, put some comments on, and then that could just email to somebody in the repair team. Obviously, if you built a full solution out and you had the repair team on the same system, that you could actually then be booking that job directly in. So that's what that is. And then the evidencing any issues is a similar sort of thing. That could get more involved. So this is just evidencing. So things you've mentioned to me, like the desk not being cleared, so you're unable to clear the desk. You obviously could choose to raise that directly against a specific desk, but I just don't know if that's too much detail. So there's a lot of implementation issues that come up in this. Then at some point, and again, this is just the way that I've built this out. So I've got a thing on here, when I say confirm the work completed, what the system does is surfaces that list that we saw that we've loaded against each area. So in this case, and I've made this as quick as possible. So I'm just saying, I'm just going to basically, this is almost like checklist. I'm just going down and saying, yes, I've done all of these, but this form would allow me to capture if I was unable to do, if I ran out of time. So it could be that I've only done, certain elements of it. You might decide, I mean, this takes about 10 seconds, but you might decide that that's too tedious. I'm just going to say I'll clean the area. I just wanted to show you this capability that the system can intelligently bring in the list from the database. So you don't have to, each job looks completely different. So if I go into one of the other jobs on the list, in the atrium or something, this list is going to be different. And then I come down on here once I've confirmed everything I've done. You can see that I can't end the clean at the moment because that's dependent on me taking a photo to say that I've finished. So, and the reason we're doing that is because that gives me a timestamp on it. So I'm going to take another photo of the same thing. Press my broken phone 20 times. Obviously, normally this, you just press, take the photo and say that I've finished, and then end the clean. So, which again, when I press yes on this, that then could update that area to say that it's been cleaned today, stamp the date on it, and also does my clock off so that I've then got the exact time that I spent doing that. So that's what happens on the mobile piece. I'll just show you where that all ends up back here. So back here, the diary looks a little bit rubbish because each of these jobs is only taking me a couple of minutes because I'm running through them in real time. So I've got the system set up so that the operative cannot, as you saw, can't adjust the times. So literally you press the start, you press the finish, you're taking the pictures. So that's that job that I went out and did here. This is just because it's a demonstration, but that little map pin at the bottom is, I think you've seen this before, but that's because there's a GPS mismatch. That's basically telling me that the property that I've said I've done the clean on is here, but when I pressed I'm starting the clean, my phone was over here. This is because this is a demo and this is where I live. But so it's just sort of tracking and evidencing everything all the way around. This is the time record. So my actual start was 14:17. My actual finish was 14:19. Can't adjust that. It's GPS tracked. I've got the photos to match it all as well. This all updates back to my dashboard. And then if I come in here and what was that second thing that we did down here? Female WC. So if I come back to the property, oh, I can't remember which one I've just done actually, but we'll find it. So if I come in here and look at the assets again, maybe it was this one. So if I come in here, this has then got the date that I last did a check. So that's been date stamped as today because I just went out and did the check. Because I do a daily clean here, this is this figure here 1. So I basically said, when I do a clean, I want you to stamp it to say that I did it today. I want you to add 1 day and say that it's okay again until tomorrow. So this now needs another clean tomorrow. The significance, pardon me, the significance of that ties back to that dashboard. So the dashboard is looking at this and saying, have you got any areas where that is in the past? So in other words, have you missed anything? And then against any individual element here, this is what's nice here, against any individual element, obviously I've only just built this demonstration system, but this is every single activity that we've carried out. So if I click on this, it shows me the name of the operative that went, the time they went, and if I click through, then I'm on that time record again. So this is telling me, well, this is one I did earlier. I went at 15:10 to 15:14. This is the instruction, and I could drill down, look at it on a map, do everything else. So that's kind of that loop round. So I'm hoping that what you can see out of that is you sort of can have the assets in the background. They can drive the work out in a completely automated way. The operative, the cleaner, gets a very simple process to follow, but that loops right back and directly updates the underlying asset database without anyone doing anything, keeps a complete audit and evidence trail of everything you've done, and then we can have the dashboards circle around and tell us if anything looks like it's been missed. So that was what I was planning to show you. Do you want to stop the record?
Will do.